Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is Jiunn Liu. How you doing, Jiunn?
Good. Welcome to hot ass Northern California.
That's right. Tonight we are talking about the JSM Kral Red Knight Lonsdale. The cigar is 6.5 inch by 42 ring gauge. Comes out of the New Order of the Ages factory in Nicaragua. Wrapper is Ecuadorian Habano. Binder is Mexican San Andres and Jalapa Seco. And the filler is Corojo 99, Jalapa Ligero, Esteli Viso, and Jalapa Seco. Blended by Riste Ristevski. Price point is $8. Cigar was released in April of 2016. So, Jiunn, what was your pre-light experience like?
It was a pretty good pre-light experience in terms of the look of the cigar. Medium brown, Ecuador Habano wrapper. Things well pressed, seems tight. Bunch of roll felt really well executed. No soft spots, uniform give persists throughout. What we call the man bun head, finish off with a well-adhered thick single cap. Smell of the wrapper, I got mainly cedar and a fairly sharp white pepper coming through. Smelling the enclosed foot, intense white pepper, cedar, cigar ash, cold draw, white pepper, hay, and cedar. So all in all, good.
Yeah, wrapper's medium brown, a bit of a Colorado red to it. Veins are fairly easily visible just because the wrapper has a slightly lighter color around them. Seams are very smooth. Head is finished off with that tightly wound pigtail man bun cap. The standard JSK band is used in gold, black, and red for the line. Aroma from the wrapper was an even mix of hay and leather. Foot was mostly closed, and I got pretty much the same aroma with a slight bit of a stone fruit sweetness that was kind of poking out to a very small opening. Pre-light draw brought this straight leather and a little bit of a spicy tingle to my lips. So getting into flavor, what was your experience like, Jiunn?
Starting from the first third, immediately I thought that was a really well melded flavor profile. Very distinctive flavors of bread, leather, cedar, and a very well-rounded white pepper spice. And then like an interso in, I started getting this like overripe plum note, and it kind of came in and out. Retro, there's deepness and black pepper, cedar, and a cream bread. Finish slightly gritty, lingering notes of cream bread, cedar, and cigar ash. In terms of the strength and body, medium. Now moving on to the second third. It's for the most part continuation of that first third. Still, I felt like it was a very well melded profile centered around distinctive notes of that bread, leather, cedar, and balanced white pepper. Profile becomes slightly grittier, providing kind of like a dirt-like grit to it. Retro brings forth the same deeper black pepper, cedar, cream bread, and a hint of ripe stone fruit. Finish still lingering with cream bread, cedar, cigar ash, and strength and body still on the medium side, which at that point I was kind of thinking, all right, where's this strength coming? When is this going to hit me and make me? Right. So never came.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick. Last third I thought became moderately spice dominant, with the cedar and bread being a close second. Finish shows up on the spice shows up on the finish with the same cedar and cigar ash notes, but that cream bread is entirely lost. Body's still medium, and strength started almost getting to that medium full spot. So, which is nothing like most of what JSK is like for me.
Yeah, initial draws brought a very heavy cedar note, and then after a few draws, that cedar kind of continued, but exhibited a peppery finish to it. Half-inch in, a slight cream join which kind of diluted that pepper a little bit, while the cedar was still in full force. An inch in, kind of pepper takes on a dull profile where it's just kind of a constant note. And it's not bad, but it mixes in well with the cedar and the slight cream. As the third came to a close, that cedar gained a little bit of a char, which pushed out the cream, and it was still a slight dull pepper in the background. And strength is just right at the medium mark. Second third continues with a slightly charred cedar, slight pepper in the background. Retro is a slightly sweet cedar. Half-inch in, that pepper kind of completely leaves, and the cedar loses the char. And even with the profile just being cedar, it was an enjoyable flavor note. An inch in, cedar becomes a slightly drying on my palate. And as the third came to a close, that lone cedar note kind of remained, and it was still a little bit drying, and strength was still right at medium. Getting in the final third, Cedar note continues, still drying with a slight bitterness joined in with that. Half-inch in, bitterness increased a little bit while that drying cedar was remaining there. Inch in, bitterness subsides, and the cedar is kind of the low note again, but it's not as drying as before. And then a few more draws in, a little bit of sweetness and char kind of joined with the cedar. And as the cigar came to a close, that sweetness went away. Slight bitterness kind of rejoined with that charred cedar, and the strength had gotten to be just a little bit above medium. So getting into performance, burn, and draw, what was your experience like?
Really good constructed cigar. I rated the burn perfect. Strong ashes, 1.5 inch increments. Burn line almost razor sharp throughout the entire smoking period. And the cigar just in general burned cool and long the whole time. In terms of the draw, it was almost perfect. Slightly snug for my liking, but not a major mark by any means.
Yeah, there were just some slight waves in the burn line, but overall it was really good. Ash held on about 1/2 inch increments, so pretty good for a Lonsdale. In regards to the draw, I thought it was perfect. Just right amount of resistance that I prefer. Didn't have to pay any attention to it at all, so I thought it was enjoyable. So overall, what were your thoughts on this cigar?
The strength definitely surprised me, as I kind of talked about already, which is just totally unheard of. I mean, when I smoke, although I overall enjoy Restay's offerings, I always have to be prepared to smoke his cigars.
Right.
So because the strength just absolutely knocked me on my ass for most of the stuff that I smoked of his. I thought the Lonsdale really hits the spot. Giving pretty good, plenty of flavors without putting me into a daze. It's not my favorite of the Red Knight Vitolas, but I think this is more like a daily cigar for me when I especially benchmark it against all the other Red Knights. It's kind of interesting because I was thinking about kind of the progression of JSK is, and I would actually smoke this one, and then I would smoke his Connecticut Shade as a nightcap, which I thought I would never say in my life.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for me, the cigar started out, very full cedar, which was quite enjoyable. Then things kind of just settled into a standard profile that I thought was just kind of average. Strength was right around medium most of the way, which hasn't been the case for the other Vitolas that we smoked to the Red Knight. The Red Knight line is very interesting because every Vitola seems to be, very different. Not like just a slight difference. It's like almost like a completely different cigar. So this kind of continued that thing because all the other Vitolas that we smoked so far have kind of been higher on the strength scale. And this was just kind of around medium the entire time, which is, a bit interesting because we smoked the Lancero, and the Lancero was a bit fuller, I thought. And I would say that this is my favorite Vitola. This is probably my least favorite Vitola, but it's still an enjoyable cigar. So I think fans of like thinner ring gauges, maybe ones that aren't a big fan of a full strength cigar, this might be a good introduction to the JSK line. So I think it's probably maybe the mellowest of the cigars we smoked so far. So that might be a way to describe it. So getting the scores, I gave it a 6.20. You gave it a 7.13. How do you think that matches up with your experience?
It matched up well. I thought the flavor profile overall was good. Very good marks for construction, and that leads to low 7s.
Yeah, my matches up well. I thought the first cigar was good, and then the rest of the cigar was kind of average. Construction's fantastic, so that's kind of where it gets kind of that low 6 points. Started out with that good flavor profile, and then some really good construction helped that out. Any other final thoughts on this cigar?
We are actually the first people to review the Lonsdale size, believe it or not.
Are we? You haven't found any other sites that got it, huh?
No, this is actually, I talked to Restay about this.
Oh, well, fantastic. I'm sure he's going to not be as thrilled with the review, but
whatever. We're honest. We're not ass kissers, so that's.
And hopefully all the JSK guys on Facebook don't do a witch hunt on us. But
that's right.
That's
a
discussion. That's a discussion for another time. But if you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also check out the full written review on the website, developingpalates.com. Follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google+. You can catch all of our review recaps on podcast as well, so iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.